Hello, and welcome to Retrospective Cinema, a podcast wherein we'll endeavor week after week to see the full filmographies of chosen directors. We'll interpret, critique, and discuss. I'm your co-host, Ryan Saylor.
And I am your other co-host, Annie Morell. And this week, we start all over again with Dee Rees and her feature film debut, Pariah. Here's a clip.
Didn't you have a different shirt on earlier?
What?
Nothing.
No, say what you're gonna say.
Nothing.
Yeah, I had on a different shirt.
That's cool.
So how come you weren't gonna say anything about it?
About your shirt?
About the poem?
Because you're moody.
Moody?
And quiet.
Man, I'm not moody.
Yeah, right.
That was once again from the feature film Pariah, not to be confused with the short film Pariah, and we'll get to all that in a moment. We've got a very special episode this week. We have a few shorts to discuss that Dee Rees did prior to her feature debut, as well as, of course, the film itself. And joining in on that discussion, we have our first ever guest on the podcast, Ana Asensio. So we will start with just Ryan and I speaking about the short films, and then we'll transition into our discussion on Pariah with Ana Asensio, as well as our interview with her about her newest feature film, Goat Girl. Lots of exciting stuff in this episode. Please stick around for the whole thing. Here we go.
Well, we are a full spoiler podcast. We were in luck. Dee Rees' very first short, Orange Bow, was basically lost media for 20 years. Whatever school she made it for, they had it under lock and key, but someone leaked it like a month ago. So I legally watched it on YouTube. I'm not sure
So did I.
that we were supposed to, but it is out there. You can find it as of recording. If you're joining us for the first time, we are complete on this podcast. We go through everything that we possibly can. So Pariah is her debut, but she'd been actually making film 5 years prior. So we'll start there. Orange Bow felt very student film to me.
Oh, yeah.
We talked a little bit in advance. What'd you think of this?
Ooh, the acting was my favorite part. I love a student film with some melodramatic acting. The clinical lighting and the cinematography of a public service announcement. Yeah. You know, it's a short film. I think we talked about this way back when with, I think it was PTA with Paul Thomas Anderson and maybe another filmmaker. Actually, it might have been Lynn Ramsey, where you see the humble beginnings of a filmmaker. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to predict necessarily that she would go on to continue to make a film that I very much liked, and we'll get there, because this was a learning experience for everyone involved, I think.
I actually like some of the early playful conversations between the two boys, but the short exists basically solely for its climax, in which a police officer guns down a black teenager, and we get a relatively simple discussion on police brutality.
Yeah, really 0 to 60 on the cop shooting. I can see the intention of it all, right? Because you want to establish the characters themselves, these two boys, their relationship. She definitely does that, somewhat clumsily, probably, I would say. And then you want to have the main conflict of the film, which is this cop shooting one of the boys, and it feels very disjointed. Like, the reason I say 0 to 60 is because it seems like, oh, we're going to a party, like we're hanging out, boys doing their thing, being teens, and then apropos of nothing, a door opens and one of the guys gets shot on a roof, which
is the point.
Yes, I get that is the point, and I think in more experienced hands that would have been effective, that it is so out of the blue that really nothing was happening that should have led to that. I understand the point to that, but yeah, it did not work for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a student film.
So are the next two, and they're much better.
That is true.
Only a year later, at NYU, she made the short film Pariah. I guess just some context. NYU still has the exclusive rights to it in its entirety. You can see most of it online at this point, but we are still missing a couple minutes. You get pretty much the feel for it. It essentially is a trial run of the feature film. It covers most of the first act and then jumps all the way ahead to the ending. And the ending is pretty different because you've cut all the middle of the film. Like, now her dad is extremely homophobic versus there's some nuance in the full film, that kind of thing.
It almost feels like the dad dad and mom are switched in their motivations. In the short film.
It is very good. Yeah, she comes into her own with something more autobiographical, as a lot of filmmakers do, a lot of artists do in general. I was impressed by how much of it is one-to-one, the feature film, not in the actual like filmmaking and editing, but in the script. I actually even like the cast is mostly the same. A lot of it was there from day one. The music cues, oh my gosh, my neck, my back is there from the start.
Cool that she got it because, short student film, you can use whatever.
Yeah.
Neat that she had the budget to actually use it in the feature film, because I do like that as the beginning.
It's a great eye-catching opening.
Talking about the cinematography of it, I was surprised and also impressed to see that one of my favorite parts of the feature film is when she goes into the bathroom at school and changes from her really femme clothing that her mom wants her to be seen in to her really mask clothing that she wants to be seen in and that her friends are used to seeing her in. And the shot is like through the crack of the bathroom stall. And that's in the short film. It's a little bit different. It's a little more polished, obviously, in the feature, but it's one of my favorite moments. And it's really cool to see that she was already kind of thinking in that clever way. It's like very claustrophobic and surreptitious feeling.
Yeah. We'll talk about Pariah in a little bit. Our conversation with Ana Asensio actually got recorded a couple days ago, so I know what we're going to talk about. But a lot of my favorite elements of that film get cut a bit in the truncation, or maybe exist because of the expanding. I'm not sure what the process was. Her whole relationship with Bina is not here. That whole character is not in the short film. And yeah, I think a lot of the nuance of the dad's part is really interesting in the feature film. So I think this inherently is the inferior work, but it's still very good. It's cool to see how much of it was fully formed from the get-go, and to see, I mean, night and day, the style here compared to Orange Bow is very impressive.
Yeah. Specifically, I think the biggest upgrade you get in terms of casting is Kim Wayans as the mom in the feature, because the mom here, and again, it's a short film, so it's going to be a little more two-dimensional inherently, a little less nuanced, but the mom here is just like terrible, and I have zero sympathy for her. Whereas Kim Wayans, even though she's playing arguably a more homophobic character, I have a little more empathy for her, not only because of what we see, but because of the performance itself. So it was neat to see like, oh, this is what happens when you get a performer that's trying to bring that nuance.
Next, in 2009, she made Colonial Gods, which is about two friends existing in a community that is slowly but surely getting gentrified and straight up bulldozed, honestly. They're trying to get these people out of there for seaside property, and you stick with two people that are, this is their home. The one cares much more about it than the other, the one played by Cornell John, who was new to me, but he's famous from UK television, I read. His friend, his one acting credit, played by Saeed Mohammed, who plays Abdi, is kind of more just floating through it, like he seems unconcerned, and we explore class struggle through that, what it looks like to care versus kind of just be there. And I very much liked this, but I would propose that this one needed to not be a short film. Especially seeing how Pariah was expanded into a feature film. We get all of the big moments of a feature and not enough of the downtime. In fact, my favorite moment is the one moment that's small, because Cornell John is just playing this character to the max in the vast majority of the scenes. And he has to, for what it is, I get that. But there's one time where just for a second, he actually comes down and he says, "I just want what's mine," I think is the line.
I just want what I have is what he says.
Yeah, I needed more of that. I needed more of the simplicity and the smallness compared to the screaming and even when he like closes a curtain one time, he's so angry.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's about to kick this guy out, but then it's fine, they're eating dinner together.
Yeah. So I think this has the outline of a great feature, and I think what we have here is a fine short film, but I'm curious to hear what you thought.
I'm pretty similar on that. I like the kind of relationship study that we get a little bit of, but not quite enough, as you're saying, between Abdi and Izzy, are our two main characters. And I love the message of fighting against gentrification. The other quote that I really liked, and I think he says this just before the line we just shouted out, "The least we can do is make our presence felt." Yeah. How invisible poor people are, or often can be, to the industrial world to society in general, I think is beautifully depicted here, but the pacing is just like it has to go so fast for what she's trying to accomplish in this time, and it does feel like a little forced, and I want to explore more of their relationship and their differences. Abdi is clearly like a devout Muslim and Izzy is an openly gay man, so there's potential for conflict there and difference in culture there, and it doesn't quite get explored in a way that I think a feature would explore it. It is too bad that she hasn't yet returned to this one and explored more of what's here, because I think there's a lot of potential, but it's not quite enough time.
Yeah, I think the biggest consequence is we get to this scene where Izzy is being kind of taken away because we're down to, like 3 minutes to keep this thing under 30 minutes. He delivers, someone's going to step forward. And then the police officer's like, you specifically, do you have something to say? And I was just like, oh no.
The last guy in the line.
Yeah.
I was like, at least put him at the front of the line.
Yeah, like this scene could work so well if it had the time, but it just doesn't. And so it feels very contrived when it shouldn't, when you can feel how it could have worked. I mean, I don't know that there's any sign of her ever returning to this, but I'd like her to make it into a feature.
Especially in this day and age, I think the subject of gentrification becomes more and more relevant as time goes on. So it would definitely have a place in today's media.
Yeah. The last thing she made before Pariah, there is a feature-length documentary called Eventual Salvation. According to the Letterboxd description, it follows the efforts of Ernestine Smith, an 80-year-old American, to return to Liberia in order to rebuild her life following the devastation of the Liberian Civil War. When you search this thing online, there actually is a Netflix page for it. And it's rated TV-14, which is, that means Netflix rated it. And you can't find this anywhere. It is essentially lost media. So my tinfoil hat theory is that Netflix owns the rights to this, and it's just in the depths currently. I don't have proof on that. I think another thing that supports that is 2 of her features are Netflix films. We'll get to those, Mudbound and The Last Thing He Wanted were made for Netflix. So anyway, that's my theory on that. I have no proof. But yeah, it is currently unavailable to find anywhere. We did not watch it for our purposes, and I would have liked to.
I'm sad. It sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like it could be cool and neat to see what appears to be her only documentary venture so far.
Right now, we're going to transition to our discussion on Pariah and then our interview both with Ana Asensio. Past Ryan can take it away. Welcome back to Retrospective Cinema. Now joining us for the first time, we do have a guest.
We'd love to introduce our first ever guest, Ana Asensio. Ana is an actress, screenwriter, director, and producer originally from Madrid, Spain, and currently based in New York City. She made her feature directorial debut in 2017 with Most Beautiful Island, a psychological thriller that she wrote, directed, produced, and starred in. The film premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival, where it won the prestigious Grand Jury Prize. In 2025, Asensio premiered her second feature film, La Niña de la Cabra, or Goat Girl, at the Malaga Film Festival to critical and audience acclaim. Set on the outskirts of Madrid in 1988, Goat Girl is a coming-of-age drama that explores childhood, prejudice, spirituality, and social belonging through the friendship between 2 girls from very different worlds. Welcome, Ana. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be your first guest. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited about this.
We're excited to talk about Goat Girl, but first, we'd love to have a little discussion with you about our other topic for the week, Pariah by Dee Rees, her feature directorial debut. So let's get into it.
Dee Rees, 4 films. We're coming off Fellini, obviously, so much shorter filmography than the 20 films from Fellini, but this was 2011, and I'm so glad that you're joining us for this one because, they're both indie films, both women of color. It seemed like a fun pairing. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with this film? Did you see it years ago? Did you just watch it now?
I saw it years ago when it came out, but I revisited it today, actually, because I remember feeling so struck by the film when it came out first, but somehow I forgot a lot about the details, and today watching it again, it was just like, wow, such a treat. So I'm very happy that I had this opportunity to revisit the film, because this type of films has so many layers and details that allow you to actually watch the film more than once and multiple times and just see things that, oh my God, I missed this the previous time or something. And it's just the pure and the rawness of how this story is told. It's just what it really got me the first time, and it really got me again this time. How raw it feels, how pure, how authentic, and how intimate too, unpretentious. Yeah, it's just such a treat to watch this film. And actually, I was just telling my best friend here, you need to watch this film with your daughter, who has a similar journey, different circumstances, but definitely discovering her sexuality at this age and having also that choice, same as the main character in the film. And we have evolved over the last 15 years, and things seem more common these days, but still, each family has a specific situation, right, that it's intimate, and nonetheless it's always a challenge to define yourself, your sexuality.
So this was my first time watching this film. I haven't seen any Dee Rees prior to this, actually, which is part of why we picked her. It's definitely a blind spot for both of us. Yeah, I was absolutely struck by, like you were saying, the intimacy and vulnerability, but yeah, just the honesty of here's what this looked like for me. I looked it up, and she said the film was mostly autobiographical. I think you can feel that it seems like a lot of it happened to her. She said even down to her dad being a police officer and all of that was true to her life. What were your initial thoughts, Annie?
As a queer person myself, this was with very different
Sure.
story with my family, of course. I was really struck by this, and it feels deeply personal. It feels really honest and just very quiet for most of it. It struck a chord in my heartstrings. Definitely. I'm a big crier. I've mentioned it on the podcast before, and this was like a good hearty cry of a film for me. I was struck by the performances of both the kind of main youths in this film, but especially our lead. Yeah, Adepero Aurier's performance and Kim Wayans, who I really just know from In Living Color. Seeing her in like such a dramatic role here was just so cool. She's incredible in this. I was pretty happy after watching Goat Girl and Pariah to see that we're talking today about a coming of age, interpersonal relationship type of film here with you.
Kind of like breaking with the prejudice from your families. And obviously Goat Girl is a much younger, much younger coming of age, and it has not the sexuality involved into it, but yeah, I think the oppression that you feel sometimes and the prejudice from your core of your family, and to feel accepted and you feel love, it's something that is so powerful in both films, in my opinion. And I think now I'm realizing that watching it this time, I am now a mom, and I wasn't before.
Wow.
And it hit me in a different way. It hit me in a different way because I was feeling the pain of her mother, and I was feeling, wow, I mean, she is so committed to her beliefs that she's willing to let her daughter go. And the deep love that you have for a daughter is contrasted with her own fear, the fear of acceptance. And that was so powerful to see and so painful. Alike says, "I love you, Mom." Oh my God, that's when I cry. That's when I cry, because I was like, wow, I mean, you are the one saying what your mother cannot even say.
Yeah.
It's just, wow, it's very mature. I mean, the film is really mature, because I think that, of course, we are on this journey with the main character, but we can see the transformation and the pain through the other characters in her nuclear family, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And not only that, but we also get a sort of parallel story with her friend that her mom does not approve of, Laura. It's a lot more kind of amorphous, but clearly she's been kicked out of the house probably for her sexuality, but she's in a much different place, like socioeconomically. She ends up earning her GED by the end of the film, but is struggling in that way, whereas Alike is a lot more built for the world. It is obviously a really detrimental thing that her mother rejects her, but we see at the end, like, she will be okay.
Yeah, that line, the "I'm not running, I'm choosing," is probably the mission statement of the film. And I think that moment's so powerful because, I think in a lot of other films you would have that be a tragic moment, and to kind of make it a victory for the character despite everything was impressive to me.
Yeah, and the other kind of line that we get near the end, or I think it might be the very ending line, is "I am not broken, I am free."
Right.
Yes, that's so powerful too. Yeah, but it's also interesting the way she treated those lines as you're saying. I mean, like now thinking as an actor, you receive that in a script and you're like, oh my God, it's just so powerful. How do you say this without adding any more to what the words are already saying, right? So, both the actress and obviously Dee Rees' directorial aim was just so accurate because, when you get to say those things, if you're honest, it just doesn't come with anything else but the words, right? And it really hits you so profoundly. And I think that was, it was so great, the choices on that.
I love her use of showing, not telling throughout this. Like, obviously, we have those very direct words near the end, but I think the setup of this film is just wonderful. We start out, Ryan mentioned, we're going from Fellini to this, and I don't think there's anything less Fellini than starting out with My Neck, My Back playing in the club. Great opener. Obviously she's presenting as very masc, and then we get this sort of femme transformation on the bus. No words. She's trying to get her friend Laura off the bus so that she can change into the clothes that she knows her mom wants to see her in. And yeah, we just get so much information from that in a way that is just a lot more elegant.
Exposition, like she definitely avoided that, or if she had it at some point, she definitely stripped down the film in the edit to make sure this is the core of it. And we don't really have those words to express ourselves all the time. Like it happens in certain films that you're like, really? You thought about all that? And you say it so perfectly and not even trembling or tripping on your words. So I love when the films avoid exposition and it's just, you see what the character is thinking and feeling rather than hearing them telling you the story.
I thought we'd be getting a conversation on sexuality, on, identity, those kind of things. And we definitely do. But I was impressed at how much this film deals with code switching, was what you're referring to, and what that looks like, especially in communities where in one subset of it, you're totally fine to act one way, but in another, you're not. Also, I talk about, my favorite thing about film is that I think it's Roger Ebert that called them empathy machines, that you can experience someone's new circumstances or new to you and kind of grow in that. And yeah, this community that's shown in this film was very far removed from my life, obviously, but it's universal. It's watching the struggles of growing up and finding yourself. And yeah, I was very impressed by all of that.
And I wanted to hear how you guys feel about the use of the music in the film, because I think it's very powerful how the director chose the music that she plays in the film to navigate the dramatic journey of the characters.
Yeah, well, music is a huge part of Alike as a character. Part of her identity is like, oh, I don't listen to the mainstream artists that everybody's listening to. You probably wouldn't know who I'm listening to. And that's what ends up initially partially connecting her with Bina, the girl that her mom thinks is the right kind of friend for her to have. They end up going to the house party, and the music that she likes is very emotional, very raw, much like the film itself, right? It's this kind of like hard rock, punky, adolescent rage type of music.
Yeah, and how she uses the soundtrack versus the diegetic music in the actual film.
There is a lot of soundtrack here. I was surprised actually at how many needle drops there were. It was a note during the film. I don't know that it was as successful to me as it sounds like it was for you guys, but I did appreciate that we kind of constantly get her thoughts through what's playing in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's how I felt too, that the soundtrack was pushing the story forward, and even the lyrics too. Now I don't recall it exactly, but the beginning lyrics, and then there's like a second soundtrack with another lyrics that also kind of like it felt like it was speaking about the emotional state of the character at that point.
Yeah, what's going on like mentally is what's happening in the soundtrack as well.
Yeah, I do love that kind of method of scoring a film. Like you're listening to the character's iPod, essentially. I want to talk about her dad.
Sure.
We've talked a little bit about her mom, and I'm sure we will some more. But she's kind of a daddy's girl near the beginning. They're playing basketball at one point, and he's very much like, yeah, I know my daughter. You know, she's not gay. Although they never say gay, which I think is very important.
Right. She's not, and then they trail off.
She's not. Yeah, it's like taboo. You don't even want to.
It's so big that they can't even say it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we see at first he seems to be, you know, a very hardworking father figure who's just working all the time as a police officer, and then we slowly get the reveal that he is having an affair, and that's the real reason why he's coming in at all hours. And that kind of seems to bleed over into Alike's relationship with her mother. Like her mother's frustrations with Alike are amplified by her frustrations with her husband and his infidelity. And just like this kind of parallel of Alike not being able to sort of name who she is becoming and what's happening with her, and then her dad not being able to name what he is doing and you know, fess up to his infidelity. So yeah, I was wondering how both of you interpreted the dad character. If you felt that he was, I thought he was fairly sympathetic, even though he is a cheater. But yeah, what did you think of the dad?
I assume that was true to life. I don't know that for a fact. Source just that the film is considered mostly autobiographical. But I thought it was an interesting way to complicate his character. Yeah, I think like you said, it does relate to the larger problem. The unspoken way that the family interacts. I mean, eventually you get that table, the dinner scene where there's just three of them and the mom's still like, yes, everything's normal. And someone's missing from the table at that point, and she's still like, ooh, these green beans or whatever it was. So I thought it made sense that there was furthering on that inability to speak through problems. It made sense to me that there was cheating and that the mom knew about it and then just still couldn't talk it through. They just seemed to not be able to talk through kind of anything.
Well, and we get like the most egregious version of that is when the dad has the extended scene where he's like, your mom wanted me to ask, and she actually begins to come out to him, like is sort of teeing it up when she asks, you know, about liking a friend and if they like you, and he immediately assumes or even shoehorns in that it's a boy, which just stops her dead in her tracks. And it's this really heartbreaking moment because you see like that kernel of hope in her that maybe I can come out to my dad, maybe it'll be okay. And he just shuts it down because he doesn't want to hear it, because he's hearing, but he's not really listening to her. Which is, I think,
Sure.
all the characters are hearing and not really listening.
Yeah, but I think it's the fear is the predominant emotion there. I mean, the fear of hearing something that is gonna transform how you feel about your daughter. I mean, he's so afraid of confronting that we see that from the very beginning. He is just in denial, but he deep down he knows it. That's why he's constantly trying to avoid that conversation. And eventually, when he's forced by his wife to say you can sense the fear on him and his question, like, you know, questioning Alike, that tell your mother, tell us. I mean, you know, it's almost as if it's a failure for them as parents, you know. You know, I'm just as if whatever choice her daughter has made or is making is just defining them as human beings. And there's so much denial and repression and frustration in that marriage, in that household altogether. I mean, they're both frustrated for different reasons, right? We learned that he wanted to study more, but he had to settle and stay as in the police department, and that he did it for the family. So there's just like so much holding, right? Like, and I think that maybe that's also something that is helping Alike to see that's trying to do something for others is not gonna end up well. Just, you know, I mean, like I gotta push for myself. Look at my father; he's obviously very unhappy in his marriage, and he's just trying his ways. What am I gonna be, like someone inside of the closet all my life, have a boyfriend, but really, you know, don't feel that deep inside.
There is a parallel resentment between both the parents and Alike. I love that you pointed that out because, yeah, the mom is resentful that this is her life and that she is also working very hard and having to actually be present at home. The dad is resentful because of what you just said, abandoning school, and Alike is resentful because her mom is, and both her parents really are not allowing her to be and present as she wants to be. That she's breaking away from that pattern by the end, that her parents are doing things, for other people, and she is finally doing something for herself, not for her friends, not for her family, but for her, I think is beautiful.
And I think even her sister is teasing the parents at that dinner when she's like, I'm gonna have sex in this whatever, the prom or something, and I think she's just trying to poke and asking their parents, like, but did you do it? Did you, in a way, she can sense that there's no love anymore in that relationship. And even though those details, when I don't know, I feel in a way they're trying to help their mother to connect with her, femininity in a way, and attract the father in a way, because they're telling him, put your hair down, and she's like, no, but your father likes me with my hair up. And it's clear that she looks way better to all of us. I mean, at least to me, with her hair down, she's really beautiful and shines with her hair down. So it's just kind of like, our father doesn't want to see you as a sexy woman anymore. It's just past that. I don't know. I felt like there was so much in that family, that contention but pain too.
Yeah, it was very lived in. We should talk about the sister because I think that dynamic is interesting. And it reminded me, maybe, less perfect, I guess, but it made me think of Tomboy, the scene that you and I talked about where her brother in Tomboy says, oh, I hung out with this boy today. Yeah, at first I was a little unsure of kind of where the sister was at with everything because she kind of teases her, but it gets to where she's clearly trying to protect Alike a number of times and consoles her, and we get that one beautiful moment where it's just them, and I think you can hear the parents fighting downstairs in the scene.
Yeah, she crawls into bed with Alike and says, I hope you know it doesn't matter to me, and that's the only real acceptance that we get from any of the family members.
Yes, I know that moment is so beautiful, and it happens in that moment of distress for both of them. It's just, I thought that's a beautiful moment too. Yeah,
Alike right before that, I think, says, I know you're not scared. They're old enough now that they don't actually need to do that, whereas it seems like it's implied that maybe they were doing that when they were much younger, kind of hunkering down together when fights happen. But yeah, then it's clear that the sister is kind of there more for her because she understands, oh, my sister needs me. Siblings always know. We should talk about Bina, I think, next, because we've referenced her, but she's definitely a big part of the middle of the film. So she is the friend.
Now talk about code switching.
Yeah. She is the friend who her mother, Alike's mother, sets her up with. Essentially, it's like a church friend of theirs, and she's like, you should walk to school with her and be friends. You can go to her house, or you can stay with me at home. And Alike is very reluctant initially, and Bina's like, well, my mom's gonna ask, I'm not gonna lie, so you might as well just walk with me. We don't have to talk. And it goes from there. And of course I knew the second that they were paired up, I was like, oh, here's her first time.
Yeah, I could sense that too, I sensed that there was going to be something happening, the way Bina was looking, literally used Alike for her own discovery of like, I want to explore this, but I'm definitely not like you, and I don't want to be like you, but I want to, use you, knowing that with her, she would be safe to explore her sexuality. Because Alike is an outsider, right? I mean,
I really enjoyed their scenes together, where she's kind of getting Alike to open up. And I think she is helpful. I thought that was an interesting element, that the character's journey to, that end of the movie, I'm not running, I'm choosing, I don't think happens without Bina. But yeah, it does end in such a sad scene after they've had sex, or at least some intimate encounter. Bina just like, oh, well, I was just messing around. Like, oh,
I'm not gay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't like that turn of events, but it made sense to me because
sure,
Bina is this character that cracks her open in a lot of ways, Alike open, and lets her come out of her shell, invites her to that house party, all these things, and supports her in her writing where she's kind of feeling not as confident maybe. Then it becomes very believable that, yeah, she's still a kid just like Alike. She's still figuring out who she is just like Alike is. So yeah, I'm disappointed in her for how she treats Alike the morning after, but it does make sense because she's probably feeling very scared and unsure, and maybe even in her eyes, Alike is living a bit more honestly than her, because at least she's dressing the way she wants to dress at school, even if she's ultimately covering it up from her parents, which they do have a brief scene addressing that as well. I liked that progression in it, and it felt, again, very real.
Definitely felt very, very real and authentic, and that would happen.
So at the end of every discussion, we always have a little segment where we ask each other, would you recommend this film? So we'll do a little round robin of that. Ryan, would you recommend this film?
Yeah, I think it's very pure. It's the kind of film that you can kind of only make once. We've talked about that kind of thing before, so I'm curious to see where Dee Rees goes after this. But for the vulnerability, for the honesty, for those performances, and just, yeah, the way the film explores all of these characters without ever succumbing to pure didactic exposition. It's very impressive. It's a wonderful debut. I'm excited to explore this filmography over the next couple weeks. Ana, would you recommend the film?
Oh yeah, I would. I think that this type of films make you be participant and as a viewer, it's not like a passive type of film. You do have to be involved in order to understand what is happening. And I think we need these films. We need audience to look for this type of films. It's just I feel like you end up, when you finish the film, you feel like you have gone and learned something. And yeah, I mean, I love this kind of stories, and they're honest. They're surprising within. It's not there's not big surprises in the plot, but it is a journey of little details and steps that are surprises within the journey that you imagine is gonna sort of go through in the story. But yeah, I definitely recommend this film.
Annie?
Yeah, I recommend this film. I feel like I'm usually pretty transparent in our discussions. And yeah, I mean, especially if you're a fan of some other films that we've watched, like Tomboy or Girlhood from Celine Sciamma.
Sure.
Especially if you're into queer cinema as well. This is a pretty important film. We didn't talk about the lighting, but I thought the lighting of this was beautiful. And yeah, just lovely, raw, honest performances from really the whole cast. I think everyone has excellent chemistry with each other and really brings a lovely vulnerability to the screen. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. And I'm excited to see, where we go from here, because I think we've talked about a lot of filmmakers who will kind of start more autobiographical and then branch out as they continue to direct and make films. And so, yeah, I want to see where she goes from here.
Yeah. So at this time, we're going to transition. Ana just made a film. So we're going to talk with her about Goat Girl. I'm a big fan. We both have gotten to see it now. I haven't actually talked to Annie too much to hear what she thought of it, but I'm excited to dive into this with you.
I loved this film. We did talk just like briefly about it. You and I did, Ryan. And I think it has a lot of similar hallmarks to other films that we have talked about on the podcast. And I'm sure we'll get to that in our questions. Yeah, I love a coming of age film, and the actors, especially the young actors in your film, are just beautifully directed and give just lovely, again, vulnerable performances. I definitely could draw some parallels between Pariah and Goat Girl. So I'm excited to ask you some questions about it.
Well, we do just have some warm-ups first, because I mean, these are, if I'm at a restaurant, I ask the waiter, so I gotta know, like, now that we have an actual director, what are some of your favorite movies, directors? Yeah, what do you want to shout out?
I mean, I love not one type of films, but just kind of like single films that I will put it out, like, oh, this film really blew my mind. Or all the filmography of Krzysztof Kieślowski is that top must. For me, that's something that it really make me want to make films myself, right? Like I that was kind of like the first time that I thought, oh my God, I want to make films because I love these films and this filmmaker. And then just like I love, as I said, single films that has marked me in some way or another, like Roma. I know it's a recent film, but it's just like, to me, it was like, it's a one of a kind, like the zone of interest.
That's in my Letterboxd top 4. I love it.
They're recent films, but they're films that are just, I mean, they stuck with me when they came out. They're still stuck with me. Like, it's just films that I revive often. And yeah, I mean, Ida or Ida, I know Ida is the way they say in Polish. Ida would say, like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just hard for me to tell. I mean, I would say that I like simple stories that evolve, and it has so many layers of complexity, rather than films that has multiple events, and that's what it drives the story, you know. Like I really love like simplicity, but with a lot of like nuances within those stories.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's the second time in 2 days that Kieślowski's come up. I just saw someone talking about Decalogue 1 in the world of AI, like how that's a whole new movie. Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch it. It's clearly a sign if it comes up this much.
Yeah, maybe it's a sign. You need to rewatch them all.
Yeah.
His filmography is very short, so you can just watch it all within a weekend.
I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
And then, before we move on for the warm-ups, you have an underseen film or director that if you could get everyone to watch something that people haven't watched, what would it be?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it just comes to me, one film that I adore and I watch multiple times because it was sort of an inspiration for my first film. It's a Romanian film called 4 Months, 3 Weeks and 2 Days.
Oh, yeah. So good.
By Cristian Mungiu.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just I think it's a wonderful film that also puts you in the skin of someone who, you know, otherwise you wouldn't be thinking about those conflicts nowadays. And again, it has so many nuances within the story, and I don't know. Somehow it feels also current in some ways. Sadly, you know, it's terrible because you think about, we're talking about 89 Romania, and wait a second, we're in 2026 United States, and some women might have to go through similar trauma and circumstances. Like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, in a way, it's very current, sadly.
Yeah.
Great answer. So moving on more specifically to Goat Girl, I wanted to ask to what extent the film is autobiographical for you, and are any characters specifically based on people from your childhood?
So it is set in the world that I grew up as a child. So meaning like it was a blue-collar neighborhood in the outskirts of Madrid. And I remember the priest who was guiding me through my CCT. How do you guys call it? The preparation for your first communion, the Sunday school?
Yeah.
Sunday school.
I remember I have a vivid memory of him. Again, it's a memory, probably nothing to do with the reality. But kind of like I based that character on him, and the mother of the story with a neighbor that it was in my building, but nothing so direct in the sense that my parent, I mean, I have a different situation. I have older siblings. I'm the third of three. I never had a grandmother, believe it or not. Okay. Never met any of my two grandmothers. And yeah, the circumstances were different, but the time of the story was exactly the time that I was kind of like 8 years old, like Elena. And yeah, and the circumstances that happen socially are actual facts. And I told the story on May 1988, Spain. And so whatever was happening at that time in the news and in the current times, I used that to implement the story and told it through the radio or the television segments or conversations.
I want to jump in just really quick and ask a second question on that subject. So yeah, you specifically incorporate the 1988 kidnapping of Emiliano Revilla into the plot. of Goat Girl. Is that like an event that you remember happening as a child? Like, were you conscious of it?
So vividly, and it was so traumatizing to me that I always remember that it was on the news. It was at that time the terrorist group, the independent terrorist group from the north, was very active, and there was a lot of killings, a lot of bombing, and I remember that was a current on the news. Like, there was a bombing of a car. And so this was the first time that a civilian was kidnapped, and it was for so many months, and so the whole country was just trying to support and pressure the government to do something about it. They target military or police officers, but this time it was just a civilian, a businessman. Actually, he was famous because he was the owner of the charcuterie that we all had in our sandwiches every day. So, Revilla, yeah. So it was this, in a way, it's funny how you put things together as a kid, but it was like, oh my God, that's the one who made all the charcuterie, So anyway, so that was real. And also the same thing about the Romani community wandering around the streets of Madrid, in the plazas, and playing music and bringing a goat and doing that sort of like show. That was real. That I remember those things happening there.
Yeah, we actually wanted to ask you specifically about that. The film kind of deals with like a classism or racism by having the character of Sherazade come from a Spanish Romani background. What specifically inspired you to have that theme in the film and express it in that way?
The idea of like discovering that there are other worlds outside of the one that you have in your home. Like, I feel like that's a moment in your childhood when you go to another friend's house and you see that they eat different type of food, or they have different costume, rules in the house, and you think, oh my God, but I thought that everybody does the same thing as I do we do in our family. So it's like, that awakening moment, it's a pivot moment in childhood, and the idea of peeking through the window and observing a girl who seemed to have a completely different world. It was so appealing to me, just this awakening of like, wait, there's other possibilities to the one my mom and my dad are telling me. So I thought that, contrasting with the Romani family, and particularly with the Roman girl, was just important in that way, or it could serve the story very well.
Yeah, and I think it does.
We have a bit of a game. If you're not down, we can do something else. But we noticed a number of possible influences on the film, and so rather than just say like, oh, was it this, and this, my idea was kind of just say what film I think you might have been inspired by, and then you can either say, yes, maybe, but like subconsciously, or absolutely not. Or would you be down?
Okay. That's fun. I love this game.
Okay, so Petite Maman.
No, I already shot my film by then.
Oh wow!
When did it film?
I shot it on 2023.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Oh, so cool.
Wait, maybe it came out, Petite Maman, around that time.
I think it's 22, but you wouldn't have seen it then. Maybe.
21.
But my script was already
21.
Oh really? Yeah. It came out in 21. Oh, I saw it definitely after I shot Goat Girl. And yeah. So no, it wasn't an inspiration, but I love Petite Maman. I love Petite Maman.
Yeah. Yep. Florida Project, Sean Baker.
Many people kept pointing that out. Many critics, maybe subconsciously, but definitely not consciously.
Okay. I'm 0 for 2. All right. Specifically, I guess I won't get too into spoilers, but there's a send off toward the end that very much made me think, very different circumstances, obviously, but Y Tu Mama Tambien, was that on your mind at all?
That one? Not at all.
Falling apart.
Fair.
Okay. No, I get it.
I need to revisit it, maybe.
It was going to get more reachy, but I guess I'm already falling apart. With some of the goat imagery, were you inspired at all by The Witch, Eggers?
Nope.
No? All right. I give up. What were some of your influences on the film?
Oh, Annie doesn't play this game. It's only you. I see.
Oh,
The one, well, you took a couple of mine. We
sorry.
made this list together. But Stand By Me, perhaps? There's one particular scene again.
Yes. Actually, that one,
Okay.
yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, you have one, so you've won.
You know, Spanish films like The Spirit of the Beehive
Oh, sure.
was an inspiration.
I just saw it actually.
Cría Cuervos, Carlos Saura Kraus, Ravens. Grow Ravens, I think is the translation in English, the title. That was a big inspiration. Actually, more, I don't know, similar. Those are inspirations. A film, Australian film called Celia,
Okay.
that it's about a 9-year-old girl in the 50s, but it's shot in the 80s, and it blends her imagination with reality very well, and also there's a political aspect into the film. That was a big inspiration too, and one that of course nobody will ever think of, but it just, I guess it's an inspiration no matter what. And I should have said that when you asked me about the films I love so much, because that film, I love it profoundly, is Beast of the Southern Wild. And
Very
of course, it's a complete different type of film, but that sort of like magical freedom and imagination too, and sweetness of the character, and also the strength. It's just, it wasn't an inspiration overall, just as an idea of making a film about a little girl.
Yeah.
Talking more generally again, what initially drew you to directing, and how do you think your experience as an actress influences your directing style, if at all?
So, when I decided to write Most Beautiful Island, it was kind of like out of a pure desire of creating a story that I could perform in it, and something that I will feel like, I don't know, proud to be in. And there was a lot of acting involved into that decision. That's why I played the lead role, and that is a very close, intimate story as well. So initially it was like, I'm gonna make a film that is gonna fit me, because I've been living for so many years in the United States, and it's been hard to find roles that would fit me because of my accent and my look and whatever. And I would come to Spain and work as an actress and go back, and I felt like, I'm just gonna stay here and make my own story. But then while doing it, and the process, it took years to finance the film and everything, I did it all, I realized that was incredible. I was like, I absolutely love this process of filmmaking, and I fell in love with this idea of directing, and of course when I write and when I direct, and even when I'm in the editing room, I'm always thinking as the actors think, and the approach of the actors to the characters, and how to be very, very careful with them, and care so much for their work and their vulnerability, and also the outcome, because you put your work out there, and then it's in the hands of the director and editor afterwards. And I don't know, it's always in my mind how those characters feel, and how the actors might feel with the result.
Oh, on that subject, you do a beautiful job of directing the two child actors who play the main protagonists in Go Girl. Do you find it easy to access your inner child in writing and directing a film like this?
Yes, I'm very, very connected to my inner child. Like when I see children, I never, only if I have to protect them from something, right? But what I love about being with children is that I got to be a child again. So I love going back to however old they are, 6, 7, 10, 12. And I love diving into their world and just letting them open up to me and just feel how it is again. I don't know, I love children. I love that feeling of childhood, of freedom, and the unawareness of time. I love that. And so for me to connect with children, I work with children in different ways in New York, teaching them acting, teaching them Spanish, gymnastics, I don't know, all sort of things. As I said, I'm very happy being surrounded by kids. But yeah, so kind of like that was the way to approach the directing with them, was just going down to their eye level and their, the way they feel the world, and try to communicate with them in their language.
That's my favorite element of the film, is that it's shot at eye level with the kids like the whole time, and there's so many moments where the camera is like looking up, because that's what the kids would be seeing. I actually wanted to specifically ask you about that. Was that how early in the design of the film was that choice made, and how does that affect like blocking a scene, like designing a scene? Because obviously a lot of the camera placement is very different from a lot of other films.
Yeah, so this was like a very early on decision. Even I'm very visual, and so when I'm writing the script, I'm already describing kind of like the camera approach. And so the way I came out to this was like the film has 3 worlds, actually 4, because if we count the dreams, but like each world had a code, a camera code, and I kind of like I defined that, and I spoke with the cinematographer, and he came on board with that, and of course I didn't want to change things for where the camera was going to be placed. In fact, the adult characters didn't know how the camera was actually capturing them. Obviously, they, of course, they kind of like see, but at the same time, they're not. They're supposed to be on their own character. And actually, to that note, I have to, at the end, approach them and say, or actually before the premiere, to say, like, you might be shocked that you're not going to see yourself that much. Because, and they said, don't worry about it, Anna. I was like, I know, but I feel bad. I feel like I have to tell you. My idea was like, this is the adult world. The world is made for adults, period. And kids don't reach out the cabinets and many things, right? And it's just made like that. It's awkward for kids. And I wanted to feel that way. So everything has to be as it is. And we'll just be where Elena is. And whatever she sees, we'll see it. And whatever she will reach. And that's it. And the rest will be as if. So that was like the first approach, the first world. The second world, when she runs away from home, the camera steps back and we see how her world opened up, and then I wanted to frame her within a new world, right? So I wanted to be the opposite, and so the camera wouldn't be this close and this handheld all the time. I wanted to just see like almost like postcards, and her friend inside. And then the third world was kind of like, it's very short, it's just when she's back home, a combination of both, mixing her eye level with this setback and including the family now, because of course it's been a transformation. So all that was, I had a very, very clear the visual approach. So I thought that would be the way to tell the story, perhaps not so much with the dialogues, because again, there are conversations between children. There's only so much they can elaborate. But I think with evocative imagery, perhaps I can come across what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's so effective to use the aspect ratio to show that her world is kind of broken open. This is her first time sort of, when she's running away, being on her own, and your world gets so much bigger when you do that for the first time. So I loved that bit. There are also a lot of references in Goat Girl to various classical pieces of art. You reference Goya's black paintings very prominently, 1001 Nights, Romeo and Juliet. Do other art forms tend to influence your filmmaking, and if so, how?
Yeah, when I'm thinking about a story, I like to put together not only film references, but also a sculpture, or, as I said, it could be a painting, or it could be literature or music. And like I don't only use cinematographic images that I can pull from other movies as a reference, but also how it make me feel, again, like a piece of art that is more subjective to be interpreted, right? Like
So we did both watch Most Beautiful Island leading up to this as well. Wanted to see everything. They're so different, obviously, Most Beautiful Island and Goat Girl. Most Beautiful Island is more for mature audiences, closer to a genre film. It's a little different, but still. This is kind of a quieter drama. What made you move from kind of one feel of movie to the other, or do they feel similar to you, and where do you see yourself going next?
I think it was just the need of telling a story that it needed to feel as honest as the first one. And to me, the genre that you end up using to tell the story is just to serve the story, right? I don't want to define myself on horror filmmaker, as my previous film was categorized as horror filmmaking. It ended up being a horror film, but it was not in my mind to begin with. I wanted to tell a story, and I thought that the way that it could be the most impactful was to do it this way, right? And so for the second film, Goat Girl, I felt like an allegoric drama with hints of fantasy and a little bit of a wink to horror as well, because horror was part of my childhood. Like, I mean, nightmares really hunt me through my whole childhood. So I thought it was like a little wink to the previous film, and kind of like the structure of the story divided into two radical forms, that it feels like two halves. Like, you know, in Goat Girl has one part of the story, and then when she goes away, it feels like, you know, change format, we change colors, texture, even there's the soundtrack comes in when in the beginning of the movie there is none. So the same thing happened in Most Beautiful Island. It feels like two different type of films from the first half of the film to the second half. So in that regard, I feel like there is some similarities, and perhaps you can see that there is the same person behind it. But yeah, and you know, both female characters with conflicts. And I don't know where I see myself. I want to continue challenging myself to explore territories that I don't know if I can do. You know, like I don't want to do the same, or okay, I know how to build tension. I don't want to do exactly the same thing. I want to see, you know, and I love the idea of hybrid genres, like films that you can really pinpoint exactly, okay, is it this or is that? So I feel like both films are a hybrid of different genres, and I kind of like see myself doing the same in my trajectory, hopefully.
Okay.
Between those two films, you have a 9-year gap. Did it just kind of take you that long to get to, you know, the next idea you wanted to explore? Or, you know, were there technical or logistical?
It's not it's not a 9-year gap. It's just that the one film came up in New York, you know, in the United States in 2017, and the other one 2026, but it was 8. You say
we can call it less. Yeah, whatever.
We can say 8. No, I mean, listen, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be my pattern. It happened that way for, I would say, different reasons, but one of them, I guess the most powerful one, was just like, you know, turning into a mother and having 2 kids and having to raise them, and kind of like taking my time to figure out what did I want to do next, because there were a lot of projects that came my way to be directed after Most Beautiful Island, but I didn't see that as something that I could do as well as I did the previous one. So that's why it really paused me, and I wrote a couple of scripts, but none of them felt like it was the right one. So I really took my time, to feel it, and but I hope I don't have to do that again. I don't want things to be this slow. I know, you know, life is limited.
Well, it was worth the wait, if it's any consolation.
Thank you. You guys are very kind.
Alessandra Gonzalez is so good in this film. You know, obviously, like, a lot of the film hinges on her because we spend so much time with her, like you're talking about. What were you looking for in Elena, and what was the process of casting this young actress? Yeah,
I mean, as you said, the film is her, and I remember telling the producers, if we do not find the right girl, I'm not shooting this film. I'm not, and you're giving me like 2 months. I don't even know if this girl exists. So I was that committed. That within the right girl, this movie would not work. As much as I had ideas, and no. And so it was a miracle that she showed up. And basically, I was not looking for something defined. I didn't say it has to be brunette or has blue eyes as she does. No, it was this quality of being very normal in one way, and has this and have this internal wisdom that it could transcend without words. And so when I saw her in the audition room, it was so clear that she barely spoke, but you could see how she was processing information, and it was just so incredibly interesting. I mean, I could look at her for hours and hours, just those eyes not blinking, just processing what to do, what to say, how to interpret this. She was only 7 years old when she came to the audition.
Wow.
And I thought she was great. And of course there was this hesitation of like, you know, from the production department, like, well, is she going to be able to do a whole movie herself, because she's in every single scene, almost in every frame. And so we saw older girls, but they already lost that innocence, you know, like 10 years old, no, didn't work. 9 years old, 8, yeah, but it was kind of like right there, and then she turned 8 right before the shoot, and she was just the one. Yeah, there's something that happens, that discovery that happens in the film. It does happen. I mean, you know, now she's 11 and she wouldn't be able to play Elena, even though she is the same actress. No, because there's something that is already gone, you know, that wonder in her eyes, that not understanding what is happening. It was just magical.
I wanted to shout out one of my favorite sequences in the film, the hot air balloon sequence. But I also wanted to ask you if you have a scene or a moment that stands out as a favorite for you in the film.
For me, my favorite scene is when she puts on her grandma's dress and she lays on the bed and plays the song and puts lipstick, because her friend told her that when she saw her own mother that she looked prettier, and she had a lot of makeup and she had lipstick on. So it's kind of like she's trying to figure out how does her look, her grandmother now, and so kind of like mixing this information with the childness and you know how naive she is. I thought it was a combination of sweetness and pure darkness in that moment. I really love that moment.
Last thing, it's kind of spoilery, so if you're not, you know, if you don't want to talk about it, I understand. But the last shot, like you were talking about, we see her thinking, right? Her worldview's changed, obviously, but I as a viewer was kind of surprised by the pause that she has in that final moment. Are you able to kind of let some insight into what she's feeling and thinking?
Well, it is played that way on purpose to just see, you know, as a viewer, however you went on that journey, you'll make up your mind for Elena at the end. And I think that's kind of like how I like my films to be viewed. Like, you go in the journey with the character, and then you make up your mind what is going to happen after that. What is she going to say, yes or not? It depends on your involvement in the story as well as a viewer.
Okay.
It's not given. It's so that's why it has that open ending. It does have an open ending, but the previous film also has an open ending.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. We have thoroughly enjoyed discussing everything with you across the last hour. So where can people find you online?
Well, soon will be released in some platform that we don't know yet. So in United States, we are confirming where it's going to be playing. It just played in New York City. Also, we're hoping that it might open in other places in United States and theaters. Oh, that's my dream. And also on American Airlines, if you're flying internationally, you can catch the movie right there.
Awesome.
But thank you guys. It was such a pleasure. I had so much fun talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And we'll definitely keep our listeners updated once we do hear about where Goat Girl will be premiering in the United States. Definitely catch it when you can.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye. That was our interview and discussion with Ana Asensio. We want to thank her once again for being our first guest guinea pig on the podcast. and please let us know what you think of this format. It's new for us. Do you like it? Do you hate it? We had a blast, honestly.
Yeah.
Highlighting an independent filmmaker who has a film that I really enjoyed. Again, go see Goat Girl once it's available to be seen.
Yeah, if you want to tell us what you thought, which we hope you do, you can write to us, retrospectivecinemapodcast@gmail.com. You can also tell us your opinions if you agreed or disagreed with anything we said here. You can also connect with us on Instagram and TikTok at retro_cin, CIN. You can give us a follow on whatever platform you're listening on. And if you like us, you could give us 5 stars. That'd be helpful. You can find us on Letterboxd. I'm at Ryan Loves Film.
And I'm at Annie Morell. And next week we continue down the road with Dee Rees with her next feature, Bessie. And there's no supplemental material for this one. So we'll just have a big long discussion about it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Pariah. I'm excited to see what she does next. Whether you are catching up with Pariah, scouring the internet for those short films that are out there, watching Goat Girl at your earliest ability. The new Evil Dead's out by the time you're hearing this. I'm probably going to be late to it because I have a lot going on. But yeah, I'm very excited. Early reviews are very positive, and that series has not missed yet. So who knows?
Wow.
If it does, you can say I jinxed it right now.
It's Ryan's fault.
It was my fault. Anyway, whatever you're doing, happy watching.